Thank you everyone for watching this presentation. This one is on clinical pharmacology. My name is Ross Bindler. I am the second year resident in the Drug Information Center. So if you come by the Health Science Building, I'm in 210E. I'm always happy to have people drop by. Just let me know that you're coming, make sure I'm there, and come on by. But to access clinical pharmacology, first at the WSU College of Pharmacy homepage, go to degree programs. Then at Doctor of Pharmacy, you scroll down to the bottom where it says current students. Then under PharmD, do class schedule and tools. Then software and resources. And at that point, it'll ask you to, before you get to this screen, it'll ask you to put in your network ID as well as your password to get in here. I had already done that as I had set up, so I was able to get in without it asking me, but it will ask you at that point. And then if you look at the very top here, we have clinical pharmacology. So ask me for my network and ID there. But then it takes us to clinical pharmacology. This is the main page. You can search from this main page in the search box for any kind of drug, disease state. You can also access specialty resources and lists. You can have monographs A through Z, the beers list, which you'll be hearing a lot more, products with REMS. So what are the drugs that require a REMS program to be dispensed or to be prescribed or for a patient to have it? Drugs with interaction with grapefruit, a do not crush list. Under find, you can find a certain indication, or you can find the NDC. That can be useful if you do have an NDC and you're wanting to make sure that that NDC matches the drug that you have. By manufacturer, so if you know a drug is made by AbbVie, you can check it here. But most of the time, unless I'm running a report, I start right in the search bar and just search for something. So let's start off our search with atorvastatin. So here we go. We have a couple things to pick from. There's some amlodipine atorvastatin. And if you notice these little icons, the blue guy in a suit is an adult, and the little girl with pigtails is for kids. So if you want adult information or pediatric information, you click on one. You can also scroll down and see the individual drug products here in the United States. But let's go to adults. So here on the first page, has a description, classification, mechanism of action, pharmacokinetics, indication, dosage, administration, contraindications and precautions, pregnancy and breastfeeding, any interactions, adverse reactions, so those would be like your side effects, how the medication is supplied, and any potential monitoring parameters you may need. So let's say you get a question regarding patient, since they started taking atorvastatin, has had very bad insomnia. They can't sleep at all. So you go into the adverse reactions, and on the left hand side here, this drop down that automatically goes down, it lists all the major ones that have been documented. So let's go down and see. Insomnia is listed. So we go click on it and it takes us to it. So there we go. So the most frequent CNS side effect during placebo-controlled trials was insomnia. So from 1.1 to 5.3% compared to just around 2.9% in placebo. So there also have been some rare cases of cognitive impairment associated with statins in general, not just atorvastatin. And so it could. This shows that yes, indeed, during placebo-controlled trials, some people did report insomnia. Now, was it directly because of the drug? Was it another drug they were taking? Or was it them? They were stressed out at that point of time from entering a clinical trial. There's a lot of different things that play into that. So it could be difficult to judge just from this, but yeah, it is listed as a side effect of this medication. So you can go to the description. It talks about what it is, gives you a picture of the structure, mechanism of action. How do statins work? Well, statins block HMG-CoA reductase, and that's the rate-limiting hepatic enzyme responsible for converting HMG-CoA to methylphenolate, and that's a precursor to the sterols, including cholesterol. So inhibition of this, the HMG-CoA, lowers the amount of cholesterol indirectly by lowering something else. But they also have anti-inflammatory effects, and those can't be looked at as not playing a role in this. For the pharmacokinetics, as you guys will learn, the ADME, the administration, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. As you guys learn it, that you'll go to certain spots where you know where the information you want is. So in hepatic impairment, well, it's metabolized by the hepatic enzymes. So yeah, that could have a role in it. Was this drug tested in pediatrics? Well, no, it says that there's no pediatric data available. How about geriatric, older people? Well, yeah, the concentrations of atorvastatin in elderlies were 40% higher for the concentration, the maximum concentration, and 30% greater for the full area under the curve, so the total exposure was more as well. These are good things to start to know where to look for, and even if you don't know what it means at this point. But let's see what it's indicated for. So what can this drug be prescribed for? So if you look, the labeled are the ones the FDA has said that this drug is safe and efficacious in. So hypercholesterolemia, hyperlipoproteinemia, hypertriglyceridemia, and myocardial infarction prophylaxis, and stroke prophylaxis. And then off-label, so not reviewed by the FDA, you have atherosclerosis, which is the thickening and hardening of the vessels. Generally, it's due to a buildup of plaque from these fats. Administration, this one is pretty straightforward because it is an oral medication only. Anytime that you're wondering if this patient is eligible or not eligible, they have the contraindications, which means no, and precautions, which means must, not an absolute no, but the benefits must outweigh the risks. So absolute contraindications: breastfeeding, cholestasis, hepatic disease, hepatic encephalopathy, hepatitis, jaundice, and pregnancy. Whereas there's a longer list of precautions that it needs to be used with high caution in those patients. So we already found out that it is contraindicated for pregnancy and breastfeeding. So let's just look and see what that is. So it is a pregnancy category X. So back in the old days, they had an A, B, C, D, X. Now it's just going to give literature. They don't give them a grade. But this one, they did. It was during that time, and so it got a X. So contraindicated during pregnancy. How about some potential interactions? Well, there's a lot of them. So those are best done through an interaction report. So, drug interaction report. So we will select atorvastatin since we were just on it. And then let's see. The guy that you're talking to now is going to start a sleep medicine called zolpidem. And so let's run this report. So it did not come up with any interactions. Now we can try a different one as well. Ports, drug. Let's do Vytorin. Which is a combination product of ezetimibe and simvastatin. Let's run this report. So they did not find any interaction. Does anyone find that kind of interesting? That is interesting because simvastatin is in the same family as atorvastatin, but this interaction check only comes up with real interactions. It does not come up with therapeutic duplications. So, another example of this is, let's say a patient is on, let's do Vytorin again. Let's say they're on lisinopril. And they are also on some Norco and acetaminophen. They can be on chewable tablets, that's fine with me. Alright, so let's run this report. So again, no results came up. Again, interesting as you see acetaminophen and acetaminophen. So it's not finding duplicate drugs. And so because of that, you want to make sure that you're checking for that yourself, or you're using two separate drug interaction checkers to make sure that what you find somewhere, you also find somewhere else. The REMS program is kind of cool, so let's go to that real quick. Products with REMS. Then let's see a drug that you might see out in the there aren't a whole lot that you see on a regular basis. There is one that you may have seen a stamp for if you've looked in the community pharmacy. It is Tickesin, which is an antiarrhythmic. And so let's say you want to know how you become certified in this. You can download these PDFs, and they give you all the information you need. And Tickesin is one where it's required that you stamp and put the doctor's info on this stamp on the hard copy of the prescription and each prescription that comes into the store. So the med guide for Tickesin and why does it require this certain program. So before we move on to the next one, let's go over how to look up drugs. So as you come through, you might think it's in reports. Nope. Nothing here. Let's about find. Nope, no drug identifier. Geez, where is it? Maybe no. Oh, it's up there. It's not in any of these across the top. It's its own little one. So, give you one to try. It is a off-white oblong tablet with an imprint of 313. Alright, has everybody searched? I will hit search now. Found too many. I gave it too much information. So, I am going to use optional. Well, it's not cooperating because it's not supposed to find those. See, Dr. Levine wanted it to come up with this one. So let's see how we can get Vytorin to come up. Sometimes you give it too much information. So white. But when we did Cipro, there it is, down at the bottom. See, the more information you give it, the further away you get sometimes. So just take that as a warning when you're using these, because off red to me may look like you know, burnt orange to someone else, and so it just gets difficult to do it. So if you could just do it with the imprint, that's the way I would recommend doing it. So that's kind of a brief outline of clinical pharmacology. I hope that this has been useful and that kind of gives you a good background as you move into your lab here coming up. Like I said, feel free to give me any questions if you need. My name's Ross Bindler, and have a